6, Investigative Writing. We are looking at session 2 in this video. Our concept for this particular session is finding and evaluating sources, taking a stand. And I think that is a really key element for how you are going to be writing a thesis. You are going to take a stand on a particular topic. You are going to gather information that supports your stand, and you are going to convince the rest of us that your viewpoint, that your idea is correct. So the topic outcomes we're looking for are to construct a balanced and preliminary thesis statement. Remember, it's going to be changing. Everything is changeable because these are drafts. We're going to evaluate academic and non-academic resources. We're going to find them, and we're going to see what we think, how they hold up. How many holes they have in them. We want to identify the differences between primary and secondary. That's sort of a secondary concept that we'll look at this particular session. We want to analyze literature and research articles. So we want to get them. We want to say, what's here? How do we evaluate when it's in our hands? How do we read that? And of course, we want to appraise resource content for plagiarism. The same way that we want to be ready to catch our own work, we want to be looking at who we read. The 3 assignments we're looking at are to analyze resources for our discussion thread, to write our research paper draft 1 based on our outline in session 1, and of course we have a plagiarism quiz, which we're not talking about in this particular video, but head to the student lounge for a study guide for the plagiarism quiz. So first things first, hopefully you have at least 1, if not 3 resources from session 1 for your APA outline. Every session, I want you to be thinking about building blocks. I want you to think about how we're taking something that we've done in one session and we're adding to, we're streamlining, we're processing whatever we've done before. So you should be taking what you did in your outline, moving it into a paper. You should be taking your resources that you gathered and putting them into this particular discussion thread. So you should be starting with at least 1 and finding at least 2 more. So in the end, you need 3. And then you're going to take those 3 and you're going to do these 2 ideas. You're going to take the resource worksheet and you're going to take the evaluating resources checklist and you're going to review each of those 3 sources. That's where we finally get to our paper. So as you can imagine, each of you have something entirely different. You've chosen your own topic, you've done your own research, you've asked for help, hopefully, if you needed it, and then you're bringing that to the rest of us. So that's what I want to be in the back of your head right now. If no one else knows what you're working on, we can't really offer any support and ideas. So 1, you need to tell us what those references are. So maybe give us 3 references. It's a great chance to practice APA. Maybe include the checklist because the evaluating resources checklist, the resource worksheet is going to include what exactly you're looking at. So one or the other, so that we know what you're talking about and where you're coming from. And then you're going to choose 3 points on that checklist that enabled you to confirm the reliability of your resource, and you're going to share how those points directly related to the reliability or the content of your resource. So again, you don't have to submit copies of those worksheets filled out 3 times, but you need to figure out a way to get us on board. Sharing those copies, sharing 3 references, something that lets us know where you are. It's also a great opportunity to work on paragraphs where you're writing a paragraph talking about the 3 checklist items that most interested you, that helped you with reliability, and then sharing each of those and how they applied to your resources. So it's a good time to focus on short answer responses. And finally, you're going to sum it all up in your conclusion by explaining to us, why is this important? Why is it important to analyze each resource for reliability? Why are we asking those questions? And I want you to think about each of these projects not as a good bad, but as a spectrum. Everything has something good and something bad about it, something that is stronger, something that is weaker, and we are looking for the best way to sieve out the weaker sides and access all of the really strong, good parts. You'll find that I'm going to use the phrase toolbox a lot because we cover a lot of details. In a moment, we're going to look at both of those worksheets, and there is a lot to explore on those. You may find yourself saying, well, why do I need all of this? That is a lot to look at. Well, I want you to be thinking about your toolbox, whether you're working in the kitchen, whether you have your garage shed, whatever it is, you have a lot of tools, but you don't use them all the time. You don't use every single one for every single project. You have those tools and you know how to use them so that when that project requires them, you can tap into it. And that's what we're giving you with this course. I want you to be saving all of these different PDFs. I want you to have all of these links saved in a file on your computer where you won't lose them, so maybe in a cloud somewhere, because I want you to be able to access them no matter what kind of project you're working on. To date, you may have been working on papers that were sort of steadily going, you weren't having too many trouble spots, but it's going to get harder, it's going to get more complicated, and you're going to need to have those tools for the times when it doesn't quite work. That's probably not going to be every time. There are plenty of times when you're just going to sail right through it, and that's great. But when it's tough, when it's not quite working, when it doesn't make sense, I want you to have all of these tools ready to go. So I want you to keep things like the resource worksheet. It's going to help you keep some really important details. I essentially keep a resource worksheet for everything, but I call it an annotated bibliography. So I write down where I got that information. Location, 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 and are yellow. So that's what this is asking you to save. Where is it? Where is it from? Who published it? All these extra details, not necessarily what you need for APA, but what you would need for any form of formatting. And then I start writing what I took from that work. What kind of thesis did the article or the book have? What were the key points that the author wanted to share with us? And that's what this is bringing out for you. It's saying, hey, what's this paper topic? What are the main points? How does it share those main points? What kind of evidence does it use? And this helps you break that down. You've probably been doing this in some way, shape, or form, but we are crystallizing it into one solid unit. Instead of leaving one of these off for one particular work or sort of hit or miss, we are saying let's apply everything to each work that you use. Our next one is our Evaluate Resources checklist. And again, this isn't about good or bad. It's about a spectrum of sort of what the purpose is, why someone wants to share it, what I need from it, because those are all really, really different things. I find that I may gather something for one project, it doesn't really work or fit that project, but then it fits another project. So that's what we're looking at. It's not that something's good or bad, it's that we need to make it fit for purpose. So you want to look at things like the domain. What kind of website is it? What kind of journal is it? What kind of book is it? Is it part of a series? Those kinds of ideas. Looking for links. We all start with Wikipedia, let's be honest, but don't end there. I often start with Wikipedia. Students bring me all kinds of topics and I say, well, I don't know anything about that topic. And so first thing I do is I go to Wikipedia and I read up a little. It helps me have the language I need to do researches. It helps me sort of get started and get a general picture, and then scroll down to the bottom of that Wikipedia page to the references list, and that's where I want you to go. So you read it to get a general idea, you scroll down to those references, and from those primary sources, you should be finding what you need. And of course, looking for who it is. Where is this from? Why are they publishing it or sharing it? Is a person writing it or an organization? These are all questions that sometimes you're going to find completely unhelpful. You're just going to say, well, this didn't really give me anything about this particular work. That's fine. But again, having a full toolbox, there are times when this will help you a lot and it will help you catch something that could have gone right by you. Finally, our research paper. This is our first draft. This is 1 out of 3. So, and generally you've just been writing one draft and then you turn that in. So what we're doing here is we're saying, let's put the brakes on. Let's slow down this process. Let's do it week 1, 2, 3, 4. And each time we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to share feedback with you. I'm going to help you find your strongest voice. And each session, we're going to be looking at a particular area. So in this session, we're saying, how do I build it? How do I start from the bottom up with a really good foundation? And that foundation is having good resources and sharing them. So remember, it's going to change. Don't make it perfect because it's not going to be perfect and we're going to alter it. So no reason to make it perfect if we're going to tear it apart. Not tear it apart a lot, just a little. So we're going to expand it. We're going to make it grow. Start by formatting with APA so that you can get feedback on that. Start with a template. Make use of those things. Help let the templates do the hard, heavy lifting of getting you started with the right sort of pagination and the right sort of centering and titles and all those kinds of structures. We're going to start here with not only our resources, but our thesis. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be ready yet. I'm going to help you refine that. So start it off, throw some ideas out there so that I have something to work with and I can get back to you. Start looking for a way to have 3 main points. We may end up increasing that, we may decrease that, but whatever you put down now is giving content and it's enabling me to help you figure out what the flow and focus should be and exactly where you should go. It also gives me an opportunity to review your resources and give you feedback. So maybe there are ones that I can help you find better ones or find more. If you're stuck with only a few, I can help you with all of those different parts. We want about 2 to 3 pages right now, but we're going to keep growing that. One of the things that happens at this level is report versus paper. We're writing a research paper, but in the past, most often, you've been writing reports. A report is just to inform. I send you out there into the world as the instructor and I say, go figure out what's happening with whatever. And you go find out about it and you bring me information. Now, I want you to say, okay, I did my research on that. And some people think this and some people think that, but I think, and then you're going to give me your idea. I want your data and ideas. I want your analysis and interpretation. I want your perspective and conclusion. I don't expect you to do any of this perfectly right away. This is a process. You are in the big leagues now. It's no longer about just what other people are saying. It's about what you think and what you are perceiving and experiencing. And so it's pretty exciting. So I think that's the last slide we have for this one. Oh, except for this one. So research, I expect you to use the library databases. Librarians are gatekeepers. They help us. They support us. In the past, you've probably not been using this. 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10 times, no one's using the library. That is not going to happen in this course, and I'm going to be very upset if you fight too hard with that one, because that's what we're doing. We're using the library. And you are not alone with this. So there are other videos in this series already, ready to help you navigate to EBSCOhost, ready to help you create files, ready to help you find articles. Use those videos. So start off by exploring our course shell, the library tour, put it into practice, see what happens, and then ask me some questions. I don't expect it to be a process where you look at the video, you apply it, and you're good to go. I expect you to review it, try it, and then have more questions and more things that you need to know about. So be ready to send me your questions so that I can help you. I can create folders, I can support you in finding different articles and directing you with all of that. So I hope that you'll get started excitedly using your information from session 1 and that we will build on, and I hope you will explore the library and that you will ask me many questions by the time this is over.